Great to have Ian Castleberry joining us for our NFL Gold Nuggets feature. We got a few to run through today, presented, of course, by our friends at DC Creasman Jewelers. Ian, how are you, lad?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing well, and we got a lot of goodies to get to today. We'll start first with Deshaun Watson. It's kind of blowing my mind that the Panthers reportedly are still showing interest in Deshaun Watson. I mean, he's not even getting many first-team reps early in Texans training camp. I think maybe that speaks to something. I'm not sure. But, Ian, again, the Panthers and the Eagles, two teams continuing to keep their eye on Watson. And with the strong commitment to Sam Darnold, I mean, we're already in training camp at this point. Can you see David Tepper telling his people to keep an eye and maybe pull the trigger on Watson?
I think so, because Deshaun Watson is so much clearly better a quarterback than Sam Darnold. I mean, Sam Darnold just is surrounded by question marks. He could have a really good season, maybe a change of scenery, new offensive staff, etc. Maybe he'll have a good season for the Panthers. But Watson is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and he is one player who I think truly could elevate the Panthers, just adding one player at quarterback. So I could certainly see the appeal for David Tepper and the Panthers, not to mention the local angle. I think that would also be extremely appealing. But there's still so many roadblocks here. I mean, Watson's being held out of camp. Supposedly there's some rumblings, though maybe he's got a foot injury or something. I think it has more to do with 22 lawsuits, 10 criminal complaints against Deshaun Watson. And that's just a huge obstacle for any team, including the Panthers, that would be willing to trade for him. Now, maybe the Panthers make a deal like that and that Watson can't play, so they have Sam Darnold for 1 year. Or, you know, they can't make a deal. They see what they have in Darnold for one season. He's already signed for 2022 at $19 million. So financially, that would have to be something to be worked out. They'd have to do some salary cap kung fu probably to make that work out. But you can certainly see the appeal for Deshaun Watson to the Panthers, minus all of these off-the-field issues.
We talk about what a cold business this is, and and this is the business side of it. If obviously Darnell's, the Panthers have him and he's their quarterback, but like Ian says, Deshaun Watson's a much better quarterback than him, and there is, and like you said, he's from this area, but unfortunately there's some legal problems standing in the way. But it might just be the Panthers, especially the owner, Lou Tepper, stargazing. Boy, it'd be nice if we had Deshaun. Boy, if we get Deshaun. Boy, if you take away these legal problems. But it's kind of like I heard somebody once say, Germany had a great century in the 20th century. If you take away World War I and World War II, they had really had a great century. Other than that, same with Watson. It'd be great to have him. Well, not for those legal problems, but they're there for a reason.
And Ian, let me ask you this, okay, because it looks like remember the Texans were asking for the farm in return for Deshaun Watson. All right, so how much do you think the if you will, the leverage has gone down for the Texans at this point?
Yeah, you got to think that the asking price has been lowered, especially if there's just the thought now that they got to get Watson. The Texans have to get Watson out of there. If he's decided he's not going to play for the team, they got to move him and get something for him. Now, originally, the thought was that Houston wanted 3 first-round picks and 2 NFL-ready starting caliber players. So are they going to have to come down from that? Maybe, but I think they're still going to have to give up. Any team is going to have to give up at least 2 first-round picks, if not 3. I mean, if you're going by the standard that the Los Angeles Rams had to give up 2 first-round picks to get Matthew Stafford from the Lions. So that kind of puts the Panthers, I think, behind, say, the Eagles. And I know that was a big rumor last night saying that the Eagles and the Texans are working on a deal. I don't know where that's at. But if you look at the Eagles have 2 first-round picks next year. So that would be extremely appealing to the Texans. And this probably isn't going to happen now, but the Eagles could have had a 3rd first-round pick, depending on how much Carson Wentz plays. But with that foot injury, he's probably not going to meet those incentives that would trigger a first-round pick going to the Eagles. But I think the Eagles are in a better position in terms of what they can give up than a team like the Panthers, or even, if the Broncos and the Dolphins decide they're interested as well.
Yeah, Mike, it seems to me the Eagles are in a better position to make a move, but he's got this gambler's attitude, and it wouldn't stun me if if he tried to do the big splash here.
Yeah, it would definitely be a big splash, but really, the Panthers need to leave well enough alone. And just, I mean, there's not much expectation with the Panthers this year. It's not like Deshaun's going to make them a Super Bowl team. He'll make them better, but it's not like he's going to make it super. And you just got to get that legal stuff taken care of. I mean, it's just a huge
it's big
chance. And
shadow.
You go through why Lou Tepper's the owner of the Panthers, going back to the previous ownership that had some problems and stuff. Not so much with massages, but with some kind of an old boy network there. And so anyway, I think that this is just fun for us to talk about, but I don't think it's happening. But we're talking about it, so we'll see.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson attending the Robert Kraft School of Massage Therapy. Nice. You mentioned Carson Wentz, Ian Castleberry, joining us on the D.C. Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines and presented by David and D.C. Creasman Jewelers for our NFL Gold Nuggets feature. So with Carson Wentz out for up to 3 months with this knee issue, the Colts are in search of a quarterback to fill the void. And so, Ian, is that Phillip Rivers, Nick Foles, or someone else?
Well, if you talk to the Colts, Frank Reich is saying, Jacob Eason, second-year quarterback, originally played at Georgia, then played at Washington, that he's, quote-unquote, in the driver's seat in the quarterback competition. And they also have Brett Huntley, who used to be a backup with the Packers, Sam Ehlinger, a rookie from the University of Texas. But it seems very unlikely to me that the Colts are going to put what they view, I think, as a Super Bowl contender in the hands of a first-year quarterback in Jacob Eason. So, yes, Phillip Rivers is a possibility. You know, he's coaching high school football in Alabama right now. He's not tied up anywhere, but he says that he's not in shape right now. I mean, he would essentially need to go through a training camp. He said that he wouldn't make weight if he reported right now.
I love that.
So he would take maybe half the season to get ready, and if that's the case, Carson Wentz might be back by then. So he doesn't help the Colts in the short term. So that brings us to Nick Foles and the connection he has with Frank Reich. Foles played for Reich in Philadelphia. They won the Super Bowl. They could also afford him. I think Foles, he's scheduled to make $4 million this season and next season. The Colts, I don't know where their salary cap room is right now, but they went into the offseason with the most cap space in the NFL. So presumably they would have room to add Foles. And, again, with the salary cap come through, they could move some stuff around, move some of Foles' salary to a signing bonus and spread that out over years. It seems, Foles doesn't really have a role in Chicago anymore with Andy Dalton there, and Justin Fields is, the people's favorite to take that job. So it seems like a match, Foles to the Colts. That's probably going to have to happen soon because here we are in training camp.
And Ian, there seems to be some flirting between Frank Reich and Nick Foles. Frank says that Easton's their quarterback, but then he talks about what a great guy, Folks is, and about person is, and then I think Folks has said about the great culture that Frank Reich has, and so
Foles was like almost giddy when talking about Frank Reich. Did you hear that on the Dan Patrick show yesterday? They were playing it, and it was Nick Foles. Mike, you're right. He was it was almost like he was begging the Bears to trade him to the Colts.
Yeah, and I think he is. I think that's his way of doing it, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. It's because that's got to be frustrating for the Colts to be on the precipice of possibly making a run to the Super Bowl. I mean, they came so close to beating Buffalo, and a couple of they missed a field goal they should have made, and Frank kind of went for on 4th and 5 at the 5-yard line when he should have taken 3. That game might have been a whole lot different. And they've got a good defense. So, but boy, I mean, to have Carson Wentz out, and that's the frustrating thing about it, Ian, too, is Carson Wentz could be out for a few weeks, or he could be out half the season. So that's a problem too, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then, how far behind could the Colts fall, if they struggle at the outset with somebody like Jacob Eason or Brett Huntley, a quarterback? You got to think Foles would be an upgrade, especially early in the season. Foles doesn't have to play the whole season. And granted, they're going to be paying him $4 million at least to do that, but a placeholder at least who can, who presumably won't lose games and can lead a veteran team while Carson Wentz recovers from his injury seems to be the way to go for the Colts.
All right. How many, were you guys thinking this like I was when Nick Foles was mentioned? And I was hearing that interview that he was basically begging the Bears to trade him to the Colts. And were you guys thinking wow, could this happen again? Nick Foles steps in for an injured Carson Wentz, leads the team to a Super Bowl championship. I mean, Carson Wentz got to be thinking, "Are you kidding me?"
And I think
He's
that's
running for this.
And I think that's one of the problems of it not happening is because, and Frank Reich has said, "Hey, this is Carson's team," but boy, all of a sudden you bring Nick Foles back in, and for Carson's is the great, as philosopher Yogi Berra once said, it's deja vu all over again.
Yeah, I mean, do you really want to go down that road again? Especially when you hear about Wentz, who's He's a sensitive guy, if you will. He's no Tom Brady when it comes to that kind of mental toughness. And we'll see where this one goes. My goodness. But Indy's going to have to make a call at some point, even if it's Jacob Eason right now. Got to ask you this, Ian, as Tampa Bay re-ups defensive coordinator Todd Bowles' contract, the new deal makes him the highest paid DC in the league. And, Ian, after a couple of head coaching stints, it seemed like Bowles' comfort zone seems to be running a defense, and he is one of the very best at doing that. And great, the strong just got stronger.
Yeah, some coaches are just better suited to be a coordinator, whether it's defense or offense, than they are a head coach. And that doesn't necessarily make them a bad coach. I mean, a head coach has to be more of a CEO, oversee the whole thing, and some guys are better at overseeing their unit. And even though Todd Bowles did interview for some jobs in the offseason, I think he is, but he's in a better situation being the defensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rather than, say, the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And the Bucs defense was outstanding last year. They led the league against the rush. They were middle of the pack against the pass, but passing offenses are so potent now in the NFL. But anybody who watched the Super Bowl could see just how devastating that Buccaneers defense was. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has never looked more miserable, more ineffective than when he had all those defensive linemen and linebackers chasing him all over the field. And you want to bring that back. It's a great move, just to lock Todd Bowles down and make sure that they don't have to worry about defense going into this season.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's going to be for Tampa Bay. It's like it's the best of both worlds, Mike. I mean, you got Tom Brady leading the offense. You've got Todd Bowles, leading that defense. One of his players, I forget who it was, but was quoted as saying, I'll paraphrase here, but I would run through a wall for Todd Bowles. Man, when you're at the NFL level and you got players that say they want to run through a wall for you, that says a lot, man, about the connection you have with the team and how much respect, obviously, they have for you. And one other player said he just always has us in the right position. Trust. And they trust Todd Bowles.
Well, don't forget, Todd Bowles didn't do all that bad of a job at the Jets. Don't forget that first year, 2015, the Jets had a chance to go to the playoffs on the last day of the season before the Bills knocked them off in Orchard Park, and they still finished with a 10-6 record. So he had some success there. And the Jets are not exactly the most greatest organization for a head coach to work for, as that graveyard has thrown away a lot of coaches. But it looks like he's got a good situation there in Tampa. But if I'm an organization and I'm looking for a head coach, he wouldn't be a bad guy to turn to.
Yeah. And this next question, your response may determine Ian's answer to this next question. Is Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys for NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by David Kreisman and DC Kreisman Jewelers. All right, Ian. Well, which rookie QB has a better season for his new team? Is it Trevor Lawrence with the Jags or Zach Wilson with the Jets?
I'm looking at the Jets offense, and I think Wilson has a little more talent at receiver than Trevor Lawrence will with the Jags. I mean, they signed Corey Davis in free agency. They have Jamison Crowder. Braxton Berrios has shown some potential as a slot receiver. But, I'm sure I'm wrong on this, but Zach Wilson seems awfully small to me. I know that doesn't matter as much as it used to. But even just watching training camp videos, and he is gunning the ball down the field, but you can't see him behind his offensive lineman. Now, I know quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Drew Brees has shown that doesn't matter as much, but I look at the physical attributes for Trevor Lawrence and figure he's just going to have more success at the NFL level than Zach Wilson.
Yeah, what do you say, Michael?
I would concur with. I think Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback. He was a starting quarterback for Clemson for 3 years, where Zach Wilson's been the starting quarterback at Brigham Young for 1 year. He feasted on some some pretty bad teams. The one loss he had was to Coastal Carolina. Now, that was a weird situation where they had like 3 days to prepare. But the jury's a little bit out there on Zach Wilson. There's some people out there that just don't feel he's quite ready. Now, the Jets believe that he is. But I'd go with Trevor Lawrence. I just think he's the better quarterback. And obviously, he's going to have a tough situation there in Jacksonville. But I think Trevor Lawrence will be the better quarterback.
Yeah.
They have a chance for Rookie of the Year over Zach Wilson.
I mean, I agree. I think he's the better quarterback. He's going to have a little better support in Jacksonville. You just mentioned what a hot mess New York is. Now, granted, new head coach of their defensive-minded coach as well, we should point out. So I think Trevor Lawrence has a better rookie season. We'll find out. That's why they play the game.
And two UNC Asheville people helping out their strength and conditioning, and Brad DeWeese and Omar Ahmed.
Oh, look at that. He bleeds blue getting that in. That is right. Can you get us one of those or both of them one day, Mike, for the show?
Possibly. I did an interview for him for the Asheville Citizen Times, believe it or not. I had to do a story on them and stuff, and it was interesting. I mean, they're glad to do it, but they had to get permission from the Jets, and it's okay. Really, but yeah,
maybe off season. We won't bug them during the season.
But yeah, that'd be great to have either Brad or Homer, and one of them would be great.
That'd be outstanding. Ian Castleberry with the Wise Guys. Of course, our NFL Gold Nuggets feature presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers. All right, let's play, guys, shall we? Because I think it's that time in the segment, of course.
Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah, 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 yeah. Say you will. Shout it right.
Oh, right, nice. All right. The Mike Orr Bills takeover question, Ian. Should Bills fans be concerned about their team being relocated?
Well, the ownership of the Bills wants a new stadium, and we see this anytime a team wants a new stadium, is where ownership wants the city taxpayers to pay for it, and the city and the taxpayers think billionaire owners or whoever should pay for their own stadium. And is this a unique situation in Buffalo, Mike? It seems like they've built up a lot of goodwill, but nothing can turn that faster than asking them for a bunch of money to build a new stadium.
Well, this didn't help, and the Pegulas own the Sabres and the Bills, and the Sabres are a hot mess. And Buffalo's a great hockey town with a great football town. It's just right next to Canada. And the Sabres have been a very good franchise for like 40 years, but they have not gone to the playoffs in 10 years. And in hockey, that's pretty tough to do with as many playoff opportunities they have. So people were glad, obviously, when they came out of nowhere to buy the Bills over Donald Trump and John Bon Jovi that wanted to move the franchise to Toronto, although the country might have been better if Trump had bought the Bills. But that's another story for another day. But this doesn't help. I've talked about it before on the show that the Pegulas, they've been under pressure to build a new stadium, from the NFL. The NFL has been telling them, look, you gotta get a new stadium. You got a new stadium. The Pegulas have been good, and for a while they were saying, well, look, we can't do that. We don't have it. We just spent $1 billion to buy the Bills. We don't have another $1 billion lying around to build a stadium. I don't want to have seat licenses. I don't want to raise our tickets too much. This is a tough area when it comes to that. We appreciate our fans, but we can't do it. But this didn't help as far as goodwill goes. The Pegulas, this is not going over well. Of course, this has been used before. 50 years ago, the Bills were trying to move out of their old stadium, War Memorial Stadium, and there was talk about building a dome. And Ralph Wilson, who was the longtime owner of the Bills, was threatening to move the team to Seattle. So this has been used before. So hopefully this is just negotiations, the start of negotiations, and things will calm down and they'll figure out something. There was a lot of rumors about the stadium going downtown. Now they just want to build it right next to the stadium in Orchard Park. So it'll be interesting to see. But the one rumor is about Austin is very interested in it, and Austin would be a great town. Buffalo's population 250,000, Austin's 980,000. That's there's a lot of things that makes Buffalo a miracle to have an NFL team. That them in Green Bay, but Green Bay has the Milwaukee market supporting them, where Buffalo really has to go to Southern Ontario, down to Rochester. It really is a point of pride, to keep that team there. And boy, with them just turning the corner and being good, this has really been tough to take, and really a downer. People stop talking about Cole Beasley anyway, about Cole Beasley anti-vaccine situation. But this is tough. But this is, I don't think so. The Bills, like I said, has faced this before in the '90s when the lease was up for the stadium. There was, the Bills kind of felt like they had to come out, and the fans really needed to come out in I think the 1998 season. So Doug Flutie always claims he kind of saved the franchise from moving, and then when Ralph Wilson died, there's a lot of speculation about who would buy the team, and then the Pugulas came in. So again, we hope this is just, for us Bills fans, just hope this is just negotiation and a compromise will be worked out. But it's interesting because Andrew Cuomo was a big supporter of the Bills, and he's helped them get money for improvements in the stadium over the years and stuff. Obviously, Andrew's got some other things to worry about right now than the Bills stadium, so to speak. So, but if he does get impeached, the lieutenant governor is from Buffalo, so that could be a possibility. That could be possibly, but I don't see. Buffalo is a poor community in a lot of ways, a lot of poverty in Erie County, and for them to ask for the taxpayers to put up $1.1 billion for a franchise would really be, to build a new stadium would really be tough. And part of that ask too is like some improvements to the Sabres arena too. So that didn't go over real well. So it's been a tough couple of days for Bills fans, for Bills Mafia.
All right. Look, Ian, we appreciate you. Great explanation there, Michael. Good luck to the Billies. All right. We'll let Ian go. Ian, as always, thank you, my friend. Great information as always. Ian Castleberry writes for thecomeback.com, also awfulannouncing.com, and lucky to have him here with the Wise Guys. Mondays for baseball, Thursdays for football. Thanks, buddy. Have a great rest of the week.
All right, you too. You guys take care.
You too. Thank you, Ian, so much. And, of course, Ian's appearance always presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers.